I think, I mean, for us, it's been a bumpy road for sure. Like even like dealing with the drama at the, like whenever we got announced, like all the drama we had to deal with, that was the first like bump. And then we ended up the split one. I think we beat the teams that were supposed to be, and we played with a lot of subs. Poised, I think, at a sprained elbow, I think. At some point, so we played with the sub then. Shout out Exalt for that. We played with Exalt for a bit. And that's if you think about it now, it's a pretty big game because if we don't win that game, we're out of playoffs, which is insane to me to think about. Obviously, that gives us even more confidence that like we can beat these teams even without our full five. End of the day, it's all that matters that you qualify for playoffs and then you have to beat everyone anyways. So it's been a bumpy road, but I feel like, I mean, it's gonna be a good story if we qualify for Ascension.
Not a lot of util, just a snake bite for Jonah, but TSM a kick down the door. It's 7 with 3 and 4. What a retake for TSM to shut down the possibility of OT. Thrash, it's on its way, but it took the upshot like a champ, and Jonah is the final victim.
It's been quite interesting. You know, we've had a lot of roster moves, a lot of changes in a short amount of time, but I think we figured out something that works now. We made some good changes. We made roster moves after the mid-season invitational, and we really just didn't have practice with our team. So getting good practice, good reps. Coach Joe coming in, making some good changes here and there. Beating MXS was a good sigh of relief, showing that we were making progress and we weren't slowly falling. It's definitely different in like the style we play, because honestly, we play a whole different game to what we played with our previous roster. We're slowly getting better and better. Honestly, I'm just excited for the future.
You should get it relatively for free, but Scuba's rotated back really fast. Oh, I'm not landing the shots though. Bring it 2-2.
And this is problematic now. Darkest able to get over to the A site, set the wall up. There's also a sound sensor in the corner. They do get the plant down. No ability for Redux to interrupt that spike plant. At least able to win the fight out. Getting through the wall a little bit complicated. You can see Berno exposes himself, trying to bring the wall down. An ace from Coburn.
TSM versus SAT is our second match of the day. Welcome back, everybody, to VALORANT Challengers North America, where now we continue to be in the lower bracket, and teams try to make this lower bracket run, but only one of the two will continue alive after today. And let's talk about these two teams, because I mean, you just heard it in the video, Roy. Both of the teams made roster changes. They've had the time to do some practice. Is it enough? Is it not enough? Have the improvements been enough? Because only one is going to stay alive after this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, this is lower, so from here on out, if you lose this match, you're completely eliminated. See you next stage. But I think these two teams have a pretty interesting story in that regard, where they've had trials and tribulation. There's been a lot of like discourse, or, you know, are these teams good? Are these teams bad? But I think it's time for them to kind of start proving their, you know, they do belong here. They're not here by chance. It's not a complete, you know, stroke of luck that they're, you know, competing at the highest level. So I think this is a really good time for them to kind of get their story in order.
Certainly. And a lot of up-and-coming players on some of these teams, right? Especially on SAT Esports. And you're seeing these kids come up who's maybe names you haven't even seen before, right? You know, we have some of these younger players like Forbesa, right, for example, who are coming up and making their name. And it's really interesting to watch them grow, right? And you hear in this interview this hunger from them of like, you know, we're less interested in the season we're playing now. Like, it's great that we're growing and we're doing better. You know, we're not necessarily focused on winning Ascension right here, right now. We're focused on developing and getting better every day. And I think that mindset takes teams a long way, and I'm excited to see what it'll do for them.
And something that I wanted to talk about, Psycho, is you know, part of M80, you know what it's like to make roster changes in the middle. I mean, we saw for this M80 squad, and you guys, you had a rough patch for a little bit, and now you look amazing. So when you're looking at these two teams, and this, even starting with SAT, the roster changes, how do you see them, and how is can you explain to also the audience what the process is like to pick up a player and adapt him into this new idea of this team, and make sure that everybody is synergized together and ready for these matches?
Yeah, you know, it's always a rocky situation, right? Especially when you're making changes deep into the season. You don't have a lot of time to make these adjustments and then build the chemistry, build the playbook back up. So you have to be really clinical, really methodical, and make sure that the person that you're bringing in is going to address the issues that you're seeing within your team, the gaps, if you will, right? And also the person you're removing. What am I losing by removing this person? Am I one-for-oneing this trait with the person that I'm replacing them with? Or is this something that another person on the team can pick up, right? And I think in both of these instances, they've done a really good job of retooling their rosters, right? And bringing in people who are meeting the needs that they're seeing not being met in the moment. And I think especially on the side of SAD, bringing in players who are a little less known, a little less household names, right? Giving them the opportunity to come up and actually compete in challengers. I always a big fan of taking shots on like young developing talent, and really like that from SAD here.
Yeah, and this is one of the people that you're talking about, is Skarn. Like, we've never really seen him in VCL before. He's completely new to the league, and look at him. He's having, impeccable pop-off matches. He's been a really big key part for SAD winning. And of course, with the addition of Ferbsa, they kind of have this like secondary flexible duelist as well. So they have like a very flexible, very versatile team that can play many different roles. And not only that, but have like outstanding performances in every role, including this, the traditionally supportive roles.
But the truth is, for this matchup and for the side of SAD, they are going against a very tough opponent on the side of TSM. So let's talk a little bit about TSM, because they are, they're not the unknown players that you guys are talking about of the developing talent. There are players that, at least in the tier 2 since last year, we've known and we've supported and we've followed their journeys. But the question is, when all of these pieces come together for the finals, for playoffs, is it going to be enough? Because throughout the year cycle, TSM has been this team that gets some really good results. Once in a while, they get a couple upsets, but they never quite make it to the very, very top where they want to be.
Yeah, it's definitely, they're a team that's always been around. They're in the conversation. They're winning some matches, they're losing some matches, but they've never really been a dominant force here in ECL. And it's something we see kind of repeating from them, despite the roster changes that they end up making, or whichever iteration of the roster we've seen across the last 2 years, right? But I think that this roster in particular has really been gelling towards the end of the season. They're obviously coming into playoffs pretty confident, and I feel like they have their roles pretty cemented in, and this experience that they've gotten, with Poised at the helm and kind of leading this team to further success throughout the season has been an interesting path for them. And the real question is, like, how far down can this team dig? Can they become a team that can all of a sudden go on a crazy heater in the lower bracket and be the team that, one of our 2 representatives at Ascension for Americas, or are they a team that's going to win a couple matches and then fizzle out?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I think TSM is a bit of a weird team in that regard, right? Where like they either look like one of the best teams in the league, or they look kind of like a middle tier team. And I mean, we've seen their potential. Like, we've seen matches where Sim has had like record-breaking first kills and interactions. Like, it's not a team that can't play well. They can. It's just their level of consistency, something within their team dynamic that is holding them back. But sometimes when you're in these like kind of do or die situations, these sort of things fade away or they get exacerbated. And it's going to be really interesting to see whether they're going to be crumbling or whether they're going to be kind of just like finally like figuring out that last piece that they need to get that level of success.
Exactly. And I mean, they have the pieces to do it, right? And you'll see these flashes of brilliance you saw in the replays they were showing there, the 1v5 from Guimond on M80, right? One of the favorites in this tournament, and a stalwart in the upper bracket right now. This is a guy who can really just, anybody on this team really can dig deep and show these flashes of brilliance and really compete toe-to-toe against any player in VCL. And so it's just a question of like, are they going to show up on the day? Can they do it for 2 maps out of the 3? And how far will it take them into the bracket?
And you really see it when you look at the teams, or rather when you look at the maps. They've gotten some good results for some, but some bad results, 3-3, 2-2, 2-2, as you see right in the middle. It's been that kind of inconsistent force, and that's what we need to see for TSM and for a team to represent North America in Ascension. You want a team that's consistent, that is constantly getting these wins, and that is a perfect opportunity for TSM to start getting those wins and to start being that consistent team that we want to see. The pieces are there, the players are there, the staff is there, but now it's a matter of, can they make it happen? Can they start this run today, Roy?
Yeah, and we talk a lot about Sim, but there's also a player that I would like to talk as well about is Seven, right? He's been a very key player. He's been an incredibly strong player for this team. And to be honest, every single time he's had a pop-off series, the matches have looked very easy for TSM. Right, because he is supposed to be that sort of star player, supportive player on the team. He has the potential. He's extremely flexible in how he does things. And I think when players like Seven are popping off, just things are just much easier for TSM.
Yeah, and this is a player who's been around for a long time, right? And you know, like we were talking about in the last series, you know, don't let his age fool you here. He is a young player, but this is somebody who's been on teams, right? He's an old soul. He was the sixth man on that old school 100 Thieves roster back when Nitro and Steel were running that team with Hiko. You know, he had a brief stint on T1, and then he's been on TSM for quite a long time, right? So this is a player who's been making his rounds, getting tons of reps, tons of experience in several different roles, and someone who has developed quite a bit as a player from the 16, 17-year-old that you saw him walk in as.
And it's also that consistent force that I was just talking about. For TSM, when they struggle and they're losing, you still usually see a 7 that is popping off, that is trying to win those rounds, that is trying to win that match for them. But of course, it's a team effort that ends up being the difficult part for them. But I do believe TSM are coming to this match today as the favorites. We have a lot of things to look at. We have a lot of numbers here, Roy. What can you break down for this?
Yeah, I mean, basically you're asking me for a TLDR. I got you. Don't worry about it. Pretty much what this says to you is these teams are very evenly matched. Yes, TSM does have very good 5v4 conversions. And that actually is a very interesting stat because Poise on the team actually has the highest first kill success chance. Now, he doesn't have the highest first kill numbers, that's Mata, but in terms of success, like the number of first engagements that he takes versus the ones he wins, he actually holds the number 1 on the team. So I think they're going to have to lean into their strengths and weaknesses, and I think that is a key part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that 80% conversion rate in the 5v4s is absolutely huge. And what that means is if your duelists are getting those opening kills, if your team is turning these rounds into 5v4s, they're converting them 80% of the time, which is an insane statistic, right? So we're going to be looking for TSM to get the first pick quite often here on this series, and if that's the case, then they should be able to run away with it. Another stat that's interesting here is 91% on the anti-Hiko win rate.
Love that.
You know, that means they're really solid against the pistols, right? They're recognizing, they're doing good at recognizing the enemy economy. Okay, they're on an eco round. Let's make sure that we're not, you know, giving them rifles, putting ourselves in one and dones, giving them a way to claw into the round. Don't give them those opportunities, right? As long as TSM can do that and continue converting these 5v4s, I mean, this looks like a series that TSM can take home.
Yeah, which is kind of cool because the eco round win chance for SAT Esports actually looks pretty good as well. Like, they're the kind of team that will thrift to you. They have a lot of strong, like, sheriff players. So just to kind of see that little, kind of like a mini game interaction happening on the anti-ecos will be a little interesting at the very least.
We always have those eco rounds in Challengers. That's just a classic. We get the eco rounds, we get the upsets, we get the comebacks. It's just part of the nature that we have in this tier 2, and especially when you're trying to make it all the way to Ascension. Now, when we look at the maps can also be something that guarantee which way the series is going to go. Roy, last series, you were saying the map picks went the other way, so not quite getting the 100% for those, but for this one, what do you make of them?
I'm actually not surprised at all to see this. I mean, Haven's been a good map for both teams, so has Bind. The only thing that kind of is really throwing me off here is, are these teams going to be running the same compositions? Because SAT Esports leaned into the ISO, a pick that we haven't really seen much in playoffs, to be honest, and they're the kind of team that is playing that. Not only are they playing it on Haven, but they're playing it well, toppling really good teams on that map.
Yeah, and that's something that's exciting about VCL this year. I mean, you're seeing a lot of the innovation, the risk-taking being taken in VCL that you're not seeing in VCT and any of the other regions, especially in Americas, right? So, you know, some of these teams, you know, they recognize maybe I'm a middle of the pack team. I need to kind of shake things up and catch enemies off guard in order to get series wins, right? And I think that's what some of these teams are doing, right? And this ISO pick is a good way to do that. I mean, how often are you scrimming ISOs in practice, right? It's something that you see a lot in ranked, but you're not getting a lot of experience against it as a team, and that can really play in your favor when you're trying to upset a team that you may feel is better than you.
And it doesn't really compare at all. A lot of the teams, and that's a great point, like when we go into these matches, we don't really know what they're going to run. SAT for the longest time, and still now they continue to be that force where we don't know what to expect going into these maps. It can be a double duelist, it can be a double controller with a clove. We've seen so much for this team, and even for TSM, they're bringing that creativity. They have a lot of flexible players that have allowed them to do so. So it's a pretty good matchup. Before we keep going though, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to talk about Blacklight, and then Psycho is going to show us his Blacklight chair that he's sitting on, because you guys need to check out Blacklight. They make sure that you guys are comfortable. They really care about having high quality equipment for when you guys are playing games, when you guys are in your PC. They have desks, they have chairs, and they also have a 20% discount for you guys if you go to their website, goblacklight.com. You'll get 20% off with Valorant 20, so make sure you check them out. As you can tell by Psycho, he's really comfortable. We mentioned it already. He's vibing, he's thriving, he's on the challenges there, so nothing could be better than this. And now, Roy, as we go back and we talk about this match again for Haven, how crazy are we getting with the compositions?
I mean, the last time we saw SAT Esports play this map, they were running Jet, ISO, and Deadlock as a solo Sentinel. That is not something that you see very commonly, and is definitely not something that you... I mean, Psycho mentioned it as well, right? Like, you really don't get much reps against this kind of, like, very off sort of like meta compositions, right? So like you can watch them, you can prepare for them. How they decide to adapt in the server can completely change, and it can feel very different.
Definitely. And I mean, something risky when playing the Deadlock single Senti, right? You don't have a trip. I mean, you got kind of the fake trip, right, with the Deadlock, right?
Yeah.
But you can walk right past it, and that's something that you have to be aware of, and I'm sure that they've been practicing with it. But is that going to be something that the enemy team is going to pick up on and say, hey, look, they don't have a hard Senti. This is something where we can walk push the flank more often than not, and abuse it. And I hope that I do see it abused. But like you said, Roy, if it's not something you practice against often, you may not recognize it. You may not have reps actually competing against it.
And it can be a back and forth between the two. It can be the same composition. It can be something new. Even if it was something new, I really wouldn't be surprised. It seems like the teams are just getting ready for this match. So we're going to throw it to a break, and we'll be back with a match.
through with it again. They know that I got spirit with a pen. Don't know why they try to compete when they know that in victory it's never gonna end. Them man are weak, that's why they could never speak. They ain't like me, I take it to the peak. Different type of steeds that I breed. Wheel up on the mic, they won't get one of these. Please, I don't wanna hear no talk from them. I don't wanna see nothing at all from them. They can't do it like me. So all I wanna see really is a round of applause from them. Vibes in the air, we caused it again. Life isn't fair, but we rode it again. All of my teams being ready for the war, there's no warning for them. Tell them again, I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We up, you never got one of them. Top of the pound yet again. They can't stop this child now again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again. Tell them again. Tell them again. Tell them again. Tell them again. I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We up, you never got one of them. Top of the pile yet again. They can't stop this child now again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again. Tell them 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 again. I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We up, you never got one of them. Top of the pile yet again. They can't stop this child now again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again.
I was taught to hustle through the pain. My body and soul, without each what will I gain? So many try to use me when I help pave a way. But man, that's just life, there ain't really much to say. I'm the one, I know I'm the one, everybody follow me. The one they all trying to beat, I know that I gotta be. I've been training hard, I'm ready for any rivalry. I lost it all but kept the fight in me. Now look, I've been laying low but speak on me and I'ma show up. My squad full of bosses, can't let anybody hoe us. Yeah, my life is sweet, I got the whipping doing donuts. Wanna live like me, well here's the contract, you ain't know what. I signed up to grind, I signed up to be the best, man. Chin up when I hustle, I can't focus on the next, man. They said that I gotta work, I said, oh yeah, I'm on it. Cause when it's said and done, we gon' see who really want it. Yeah, who really want it? Who really want it? Yeah, I'm getting better and better and only focus on cheddar. Who really want it? Yeah, who really want it? Who really want it? Yeah, I'm working hard and I show them when out the water I blow them. Who really want it?
Who really want it? It's really the question of the day. Y'all talk a lot, but I don't see y'all walk a lot. You know?
Fighter is my name, legendary is my aim. Already legendary, y'all know that we ain't the same. Whether sun or rain, ain't nobody else to blame. The life I live is mine, so I control the change. Tell me that I'll lose, tell me y'all don't see my vision. Tell me that I'm no one and I got some competition. I'ma show you what it looks like when you never listen. Open your eyes and pay attention. I'm on a new level. Hell no, I can't settle. Gonna be the best and I'ma show more than I tell you. I am not impressed because you got a little metal. I'm here to take you down and bring the heat like I'm the devil. I can show you light. Yeah, I can show you heaven. I can show you how to win when you think that you're failing. What I tell you, yeah, you gotta work. Yeah, you gotta be on it. Cause when it's said and done, we gon' see who really want it. Yeah, who really want it? Who really want it? Yeah, I'm getting better and better and only focus on cheddar. Who really want it? Yeah, who really want it? Who really want it? Yeah, I'm working hard and I show them when out the water I blow them. Who really want it?
face.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. As well, it may have taken a while, but we have gotten everything ironed out on the tech side, and we're good to go for map number 1 between SAT Esports and TSM. I'm Shift, with me, Wyatt. It should be a really interesting map here. I mean, the desk framed it up about half an hour ago, talking about how this ISO deadlock combo is a little mixy for SAT Esports, and the question would be, how is TSM going to deal with it?
It is a very unorthodox comp. We have actually seen an okay amount of ISO being played on this map. 100 Thieves did it recently in the Partnership League, but they had a Yoru with it, which is also what I've seen with the ISO, Yoru, as well as I think Heretics are playing that in Europe. So it's not entirely uncommon, but it's nowhere close to the standard meta, which is exactly what TSM are running. That comp with either a Cypher or a KJ. So yeah, we have the very standard versus the very off the beaten path. But this has worked for SAD. And that's really just been their MO all year long. They're just going to play whatever agents they feel like it. They're very experimental.
Oh, absolutely the case. So, okay, it's now just down to what we're going to get here, kind of between the, what you would assume to be the flash and dash combination of TSM versus the very formidable and stalwart setup that SAT Esports can put together. Their offense in particular has been difficult to deal with for a lot of squads, but what can they do on the defensive side is the question. Good shock dart creates a little bit of extra space here in terms of Dip getting back deeper in towards the site. The second one also gets placed, but TSM have worked their way over towards the front side of the site. Pistol shots opening up for Sim, not going to work out. Good barrier mesh, good grab net, everything turning out for the SAD defense. Just need to find the last player on the site, and well, 7 is down to essentially 1 bullet worth of health, able to take 1 more with him, but that's that defense that SAT Esports wants to see. That little poke back, get everything set up, let Darkest thrive in the chaos.
I love the swiftness that SAD were able to get back into the site with there. They had 3 players stacked up early towards B. Well, it was just Dip in that passive position on A, gathering a little bit of information. But they worked over to assist Dip with such speed, all fighting backside. Nice fundamentals on display from SAD here early.
Loving to see it. Okay. I think the question is going to be here for TSM, you know, not just how do you deal with the possibility of the deadlock locking down these choke points, but remembering back to SAD playing this before, it's also figuring out where Darkest wants to play, because they've been very versatile in terms of setting up over towards C, also kind of putting a passive setup over towards A, and now all of a sudden with the opening shots coming to the middle of the map, it's a full focus over towards the B side. Shock darts are out, and you can try to be as shield heavy as you want, but the hit is in. Darkest able to trade out a couple, but TSM will win the site.
This is just pure classics. winning duels, swarming the SAD defenders backside. So much pressure onto FERBSA. Couldn't deal with those overwhelming numbers with just a Guardian. Not the best for that kind of engagement. Now Dip has to be the hero. On the precipice of getting eco'd already. All classics.
Well, here we go. Dip, still a chance if he wants to put the reveal together. But 7 will get his out first. Kind of re-wins back the site just a touch. Counter out is not going to reveal anything, which, honestly, no information is good information for here for Dip. He should know that this is going to be some sort of a deep post plant setup. The question is, did anyone sneak over towards tunnel side, or are they both stacked up over here on long? Opening shots decent, but not good enough, and it's going to be a thrifty here for TSM in the bounce back.
That is tragic for SAD. That was a straight-up duel lost by Skarn immediately. Just getting 2-tapped in the head by a classic. But I love TSM immediately exploiting that opening. Big credit to them for being able to scale into the site with such speed off the back of that first kill. Overwhelming FERBSA. I mean, even though FERBSA had a better weapon than the TSM players, you could just tell he was at such a disadvantage backside the entire time. There were just too many numbers on him.
Oh, here we go. Quick action over towards the front side at A. No pause in these two squads. Messy shots, though, from GMD. Allows Skarn to get us back to 1-for-1. And the early's Hunter's Fury for Dip. Going to get called immediately. Can he lock down the last shot needed? No, not quite. So, again, both teams looking to really battle for the extremities early, which I think is a necessity for TSM, I'll be honest with you.
That is some heavy investment from SAD. Crazy that Dip already has the Hunter's Fury, which is why I think he felt like I might as well use it. I've already got this. We're on round 3 of the game. We just got eco'd. If I can swing this back here, cool. If not, definitely going to get another Hunter's Fury at least before the end of the half, if not 2 more, right? So, not mad at him for trying to take a bold risk. Swing SAD back into the driver's seat.
It's all about what they get contact-wise on this re-hit back over towards A. Skarn just holding it towards sewers. Really, if you could go 1-for-1, especially with Proto lurking up through sewer, that would be an absolute miracle for the defense of SAD Esports, but not going to happen. Proto just a better weapon. So now it's up close and personal. Coburg does well, but 1 is not going to be likely enough. Darkest, classic in hand. No chance to reestablish any utility control, so he's going to do this the hard way. And the first one on the corner will come through decently, but poised, quick to find the response, and TSM take the expected third.
Boys, getting pretty close to that Rolling Thunder as well with that last kill acquired. We will now get into the full buy round. For straight away too, Darkest is going to have an Annihilation to play with. One of the many players and challengers that has picked up a hell of a lot of deadlock this year. A really talented flex player. I've been very impressed with him all year long. One of the driving forces behind a lot of SAD's success. See what he can do with that Annihilation. Maybe get that crucial pick to give SAD an advantage to win the first buy round of the game.
Yeah, this is, I think, again, where we're going to start to see the patterns and trends actually start to be created in terms of, especially, how active does SAD want to get with these weapons versus trusting the setup? I mean, look at the litter of utility over towards C. Now, the problem is, early operator means that Coburg really is not a part of the play. Even if you would have just gotten a shoulder, he would have been trapped back there. So now everything has to go right into Darkest setup. Offensive Hunter's Fury coming through. The Dance with the Devil not going to go well for Darkest. So a decent opening trade and a pause on this C-long hit will get the defense into sight. Aftershock gonna force Skarn to have to make a tough decision, and as GMD picks up the op, it's just down to FERBSA, who gets glass shattered and a broken kill, meaning that really this has just been clean action from TSM.
That barrier was thrown at a great time from Darkest to allow the rest of the SAD players to get back sight, but swinging into that angle where you already lost a player to the attacking op is pretty reckless. They suffer the consequences for it. I mean, there were multiple crosshairs locked in on that backside swing from default. Tough goings for SAD. I think they made all of the right decisions, frankly, in that situation up until those overswings. Yeah. It cost them the round. Dip loses his life. They've lost all the weapons, all the money. TSM firmly gaining control of the game early on.
Really well done. Okay. So things will be at a little bit of a halt here for SAD. I don't mind the early timeout. I think some of this is going to be the fact of, okay, what have we learned so far? TSM not paying a lot of respect to the slowdown utility that SAD has thrown to this point. It's kind of a repeat of what we were talking about on Haven in our first series that happened a while back, where, hey, yeah, you got a controller-heavy setup looking at the perspective of, fluffy aimers, but no respect given to it by Dark Zero. And that's kind of the exact same situation here thus far for TSM of, sure, you might be able to slow us down with Darkest, but we're not going to give you a chance to break us down. We're just going to push aggressively through it, force Ferbza to have to pop his shield early, and by the time that he maybe even finds a trade, he doesn't really have a chance to re-establish it because there's this quick flood actually coming from TSM.
This op is definitely a great pickup for Sim on attack against this comp. It will slow things down, obviously, but SAD don't really have much in the way of info gathering. They have the recon and the drone from Dip, but they don't have any of the passive control that running a Killjoy or a Cypher would offer you with Trips, Turret, Cam.
Yeah.
So being a bit info starved, you're going to see them feel like they need to go for more of those jump peaks like Coburg did where he lost his life to find information, pushing to find information. And the op is just a hard counter to defenders making maneuvers like that.
Well, difficult situation here now, which is the pistols. And you don't figure much is going to change here. TSM just wants to make sure they don't do anything too crazy. Plus, the operator in play gives them the ability to kind of scout out what's going on in front of them first and maybe even punish Ferbza for over-peaking with the shield. But at the moment, it's just TSM maybe thinking that SAD have gamble stacked and are trying to push through the outsides of the map. That's not the case, though. So time is starting to lean towards SAD's direction to possibly give themselves a chance here.
Drone now going to be sent out to try and re-clear close towards A long, not going to see anything. Even still, SAD are entrenched pretty deep there. As Sim tries to find this angle towards that B to A link. If Skarn peaks, that will be the end of his life, and TSM will surely pounce into the B site just after. Shot goes awry.
Oh, here we go. Darkest up close and personal. Annihilation going to come through. It's going to pull Poise a little bit deeper in. I think it's immediately countered, though. So decent focus for TSM to keep this into a plausible condition. Operator also pulled back. Everything resets, though, with only 18 seconds on the clock. TSM are going to make a gut check call, and they're running into all the sensors here for SAD. Maybe a chance here for the defense still to hold on. Just takes one crossing kill, which Dip is in perfect position for. Skarn also right behind it. Leaves it all down to a Proto who's not going to have time to collect the spike and plant. He also will not get away from Skarn. So not a full-on thrifty, but an operator picked up plus rifles. That is a huge round for SAD Esports.
Nicely done from Darkest. Close up on B, finds that first kill. That annihilation. It did catch one, didn't get the kill, but does end up just draining more time from the clock. You could see TSM scrambling, trying to save Poised. It looked like they even were trying to save the operator, bring it a little further back so the defenders couldn't pick it up, but whatever the idea was there, ultimately, it just reduced the clock to nothing. No option but to go C. SAD were ahead of the rotation. Well played from them. Already we've got 2 ecos in this game on pivotal rounds.
And with the operator out, this makes Skarn that much more deadly. Sim gonna go to the high ground, just trying to find some sort of a connection with the knives. First shot's blocked. Oh, what a good shield coming through for Ferbza. Allows Dip to still stay alive in the corner behind the barrier mesh. And this is where the defense becomes essentially unbreakable. No chance to push through there. The barrier mesh just blocked off any further entry, but the Proto with the backline's gonna be able to open up the site by himself. One more member to find over on the corner. Proto desperately trying to get the hat involved for the neural theft, but Skarn and Dip are trapped, and a Proto has just stolen the round back away.
Skarn trying to be a hero, just re-peeking into the same angle, but too many eyes on that. Coburg coming from long, but TSM way ahead of him. A dark cover. Placed down by GMD, trying to work his way through slowly, find a spam angle.
Not gonna happen here. Coburg just completely overwhelmed. And that's the thing about, as much as you can give credit to the fact that this SAD setup is, at times it looks unbreakable. Problem is, if you're gonna find that much more of kind of a fortress around a site, you're gonna have openings. I mean, this is a massive map. and you can never count out a Proto from finding a lurking route, especially through the middle of the map. So, I mean, that's just heads-up play from TSM, a small miscue for SAT Esports in a run that looked like it was going to be really, really easy for them to finish off.
I love that utility as well from Ferbsa. The contingency, that push wall sent forward just after he popped the shield, just dancing around, staying alive, drawing attention, delaying. Sim's got the all back in his hands, opportunity straight away to get an opening, but is just out of the way. Skarn, beautiful shot, and Ferbsa with a swing as well. The shield, the perfect counter to that operator, pays off. Fast two-man advantage now for SAD.
Aldron's still going to get a little bit of space through sewers. Problem is, again, this barrier mesh. This is giving SAD so much information. They even have the Aldron still lingering of their own. Darkest trying to find the right timing for this. We'll throw the grab net down first on one side, then isolate the other. And Seven has got a chance to fight this thing back to more manageable terms, and Wolf Points comes over and saves a life. Seven looked like he was completely out of the picture. And now all of a sudden it's a 2v2. Rolling Thunder's at the ready if they want to try to pop this. Koberg and Skarn try to find the retake. Knives are out for Skarn here. But look at the reposition from Poise.
Enemy remaining.
He can pop this Rolling Thunder and clutch the round if he needs to. Otherwise, Seven may just do it himself. It's 4 in the round for Seven. And life starts to look a little bit more on the slim side for SAT Esports.
They tried to do so much in that situation, continuing to push up and fight. Again, when that contingency came out from Ferbsa, the wall moving forward, trying to scale back in off of it. But I think just a little bit of patience late into that scenario would have resulted in a win for SAD on a very important round that breaks their economy. TSM with tons of ultimates to play with. Chance to extend their lead to 6 off a beautiful 4K from 7. Really consistent factor for this TSM team over the stage.
Wow. It just one of those maps you start to feel like anything is possible. And we're seeing it again. Isolated 1v1, but that's Ferbsa with the Sheriff, and 7 just goes wide on the peak. Takes down the kill, so now an opportunity to get this thing back to 3v3, but SAT Esports putting some pressure over towards A long. Aldron has to be forced for 7 early, and they don't necessarily see Darkest initially, but it's only a single kill. Moments there where it looked like a second may have been in line.
I feel like I'm watching TDM. What the hell is happening in this round? GMD's been on C with the spike for 37 minutes. He's been on the site longer than the tech pause we had, and was just too scared to plant because he didn't know where the hell anyone was. And neither do I. I didn't know where anyone was, and I was looking at the mini-map. That was madness. And now we're in a 3-on-2 retake. GMD and Sim completely split up from each other.
Oh, the timing here in this isolation is going to be everything. Dip. He does see just the barrel of the operator, leaving GMD by himself. Teleports on the other side of the barrier mesh. Hold on a second. He may catch an angle, but no, SAD able to follow up decently. And it will be a third thrifty for us here through 8 rounds. Why? Woo!
That was one of the rounds of Valorant, no doubt. Darkest just I just need to see the replays. Darkest and Skarn just pushed up with the Sheriffs. Darkest, by the way, his Sheriff in particular is nasty. I remember on the desk they were showing some of the stats of the eco around win rate. In particular was one of them, and it was significantly higher for SAD than TSM. And that has a lot to do with their Sheriffs. And I think Darkest in particular with it is nasty. He got an opening pick in that round. Skarn got a second. And there was just a scrap and spawn, bizarre situation. SAD come out on top.
Quick contact play over towards C Long actually forces out the gravity vortex plus the barrier mesh. Hunter's Fury for the offense, trying to cut across the backside of the site as the barrier mesh is destroyed. Rolling Thunder now in. How does this isolation come to bear? Because you've got an absolutely perfect sensor in place with the graph net, but TSM still come out on top of the kills, and it happens in the blink of an eye.
Perfect utility from SAD, but TSM just win out every single duel. They save that Rolling Thunder for the second cycle, which is really nice to get back into the site. In a way, baiting out a lot of SAD's utility and just keeping that for the re-hit that came just seconds later. Well played from TSM, well played from Sim, just getting in, finding these trades. Straight up duel win at the end against Dip as well. definitely heating up.
It's just that round right there is like exhibit A of what we were talking about early on, where TSM just don't care about the utility. They're just going to push right through it with full force of numbers. So after the setup is perfectly executed, it still goes wrong. Now you've got SAT Esports taking some early proactivity down C long. The only real issue with this is like, yeah, sure, Skarn has gotten some great placement here to at least take over one side of the map, but all of your utility to defend C essentially goes for nothing because it's all placed in the backside of the site. Now you don't really need it anymore, and the A site will just have to be off of what reactive utility can come out of Dip and Darkest.
Ferbsa tucks into the corner, shock darts for a little bit of delay. Here comes the flash, the fault line.
And the opening, but Ferbsa gets the double tap off. That's enough for an opportunity to still keep the corner, but not going to happen, so now Dip has to come through. Cosmic Divide allows him to isolate from left to right to left again. One more to grab, but a Proto finds the kill, picks up the spike, and we'll get a 1v2 post plant.
Planted the spike.
Very winnable for him now. Coburg only with the judge, but should be able to recover one of those downed rifles just outside of main. Proto concerned about the flank. Of course, Skarn did push down C deep very early. Here's the bolt now.
Yeah, for shots, decent, but not good enough to find the kill on the Skarn. Maybe then would there have been a chance to isolate, but not going to happen. And SAT Esports, really well done, just kind of fighting from the backside of the site. I say SAT Esports, but really it's just Dip. I mean, he is an impossible situation, but Coburg able to divide the site with the Cosmic Divide, and then it's just simple back and forth gameplay from Dip.
Dip is usually not the guy that I'm looking at as the one who will step up individually for SAT. He's been a good player, but right now, really on fire, finding the impact kills. Frankly, in a lot of these situations, SAT are stacking the right sites. They are in the right positions at the right times, but they are losing a lot of the duels, and I am going to be looking at Ferbsa to step it up. He's been the new addition to this team in Stage 2 that I think has taken them to the next level, and right now, rare off performance from a player I've otherwise been very impressed by.
I think the thing about it, though, is just like the utility of the agent just has come up a little bit empty. Now, there's a chance here.
Down mid.
Double tap's going to be regained. Plus, the contingency still being held with a little push-up. And that's what you want to see, you know, in terms of what Ferbsa brings to the table on ISO is get aggressive. Take a chance to find an isolated 1v1 in a weird spot. But now has to retreat back into the back of the C site. And, I mean, we're just not pulling the trigger on anything. Not in the weapon, not any of the utility, and GMD and TSM will find the plant on C.
Yeah, just fighting from an awkward angle, exposed a little bit to the left, while knowing that Sim was caught in that corner, stunned up by the sonic sensor. Well,
up and over, little opportunity here for SAT to try to force their way in. Ooh, messy knives, but the shock dart. Oh, just electrifies everything in the backside of the site, and that will be good enough for the final 2 kills. But, I mean, it is just one of those things, like, it's a great opening from the ISO onto Ferbsa, but then you trail back into the C site. I mean, you've got an undercut, you've got a contingency still ready to go, and instead just tries to find timing on the peak, and that just doesn't work out. It's just a little bit weird to see, especially with the gravity vortex being placed. You would think at least an undercut would have been thrown.
Yeah, that shock dart at the end from 7 is a little silly. Just gets 2 free kills doing like 10 damage each, but no, I totally agree. And, you know, Coburg as well, he tried to time a swing through Garage, which I'm not mad at. They are just not getting dual wins in a lot of these situations. Skarn just trying to make something happen. I mean, at this point, it kind of feels like desperation.
Well, may have been desperate in nature, but the Hunter's Fury at least gets us a 1-for-1 exchange. But here's the issue again. It's like, where do you find the point of contact? Coburg essentially has to play by himself, and whoa, he is able to find Suit through C long, so the timing there must have been brilliant. As Sim is being held over towards mid, and Ferbsa will actually get the Guardian through the side of the wall to cancel out any potential lurk play from Sim.
I mean, was that just straight up spam through smoke from Coburg?
May have been,
I mean, I think it looked like it, which... Listen, they'll take what they can get. Frankly, getting 5 on the board for SAT is a huge win in my mind because TSM have been pretty in control of the game the whole time. I think they're playing significantly better. I think this scoreline, unless the Proto clutches this out, doesn't actually represent how well the teams are playing at the moment. SAT kind of given a lifeline here, and if they can play better on attack, if they can up their game, they have a shot at winning now.
Oh, here we go.
All right, well, rest in peace, Proto.
Yep. I mean, at this point, yeah, if your Furbs, you can just hold off as long as humanly possible, wait for your teammates to flood. Doesn't even need to, though the Guardian will land, and that will get us a 7-5 half. You're absolutely right. It definitely felt like, considering the score, how being as tight as it is, TSM were really holding control in terms of how the pacing was go. I mean, you throw around a couple of weird thrifties, and that scoreboard looks way different. But at least for the side of SAT Esports, you save a couple of retakes there near the end to keep this thing close. And I will say, offensively, this has been one of the things that has really impressed me about this composition for SAT Esports. Their offensive side has largely gotten way over the 6-round differential. A couple of 9-2s in there, an 8 attacking win round against Moist X Shopify, which is the first time they pulled this out. So, you know, I think that for SAT Esports, there's still a lot of ground to work with here jumping into the second half.
I totally agreed. If they can get into the sites with the deadlock alive, get down that barrier mesh in the post plant, have the sonic sensors set up for the defuse, and then you have Astra as well, you have the Gravwell, you have a stun, it's going to be obnoxious to try and play retakes. I could see SAD, I mean, saying coming back into this thing seems dumb given it's 7-5, but still, in my mind, I feel like they're trailing this game by more, but it's actually neck and neck.
Yeah. Well, this side is the side that you need to see Furbs finding value on the ISO, where you can just walk up with the double tap shield and then just be a walking barricade. And nice timing here on the dash forward while Proto was worried about the recon bolt in the back of the site. Skarn able to turn that into a second. That's a great shock dart thrown deeper in to make sure TSM's defense cannot get even close to challenging that barrier mesh.
7 on very low HP, potential late backstab from Coburg, and have fun breaking a barrier mesh with your classics. Poise is about to run out of ammo trying to break that. It's so silly.
And the post-plant setup is all 4 players stacked deep. 2 ghosts in play, a couple of the classics. Sim would have to hit some heads right here. First shot doesn't quite come through. Second opportunity, not going to work out. And no one can stick to try to get this thing close to even halfway. Coburn making sure that he could be in a spot to capitalize on the damage, and that'll be enough for SAD to take the pistol. And pending no further antics with Thrifties in the opening side of this half, should get us a 7-7 tally.
That coordinated timing between Skarn's initial dash into the site and the recon landing up top, that was perfect to the millisecond. I mean, the moment a Proto turned to break that recon, Skarn was up on platform, shooting him in the back. Really fantastically executed. And then it's just that deadlock utility. It's super valuable in those situations in full buy rounds, but on a pistol where you have to break that with classics, you're just wasting the entire clock of the spike at that point. Really fast A-take here from SAD to begin their anti-eco. They won the pistol in the first half, immediately got eco. They're going to have to stabilize here and win this in clean fashion.
A couple of the tools on the table for TSM as well. I mean, Sheriff's always a threat. But for SAT Esports, this is all about getting some early A focus. See the setup already in play for Darkest. That will likely be the go call as soon as the Owl Drone scouts some of this out. Smokes are already in place for Astra as well. And the Owl Drone will actually only see Guamon for now, but the Nebulas get placed, and that's enough for SAT Esports to commit forward, although TSM still in position, trying to fight this one back, but the fault line comes out maybe a little bit too late. So that will be likely enough for at least SAT Esports to get their full focus on the site. Darkest also playing for the plant, and Dip has seen the only major contestant up top, although I say that, and all of a sudden you've got Sim working in and around the barrier match with 2 kills off the Sheriff, a third on the way. All of these are one-tap headshots. Now a chance to get the Bulldog out, but tries to transfer a bit too soon. Maybe a chance for Proto to isolate, and the first shots will land, but Coburg on the backside at Sewers saves the round.
Oh my god, that should not have been anywhere near that close. The shots from Sim were fantastic. The second one in particular, and then that little mistake of the placement of the barrier mesh. It seemed like Darkest thought that the choke point was fully covered off, that Sim wouldn't be able to just slip his way all the way to the right side silently. Punished hard for it. Another buy for SAD into this one. Certainly not as good as it could have been, but not terrible. Still 3 rifles to work with. This is winnable.
Just comes down to, is Furbs just going to be bait for this round? Contingency clears out A long. Double tap surely to come as soon as they want to try to execute here, but the annihilation is also going to be earned. So a lot of tools, lots of opportunity here for SAT Esports to try to pull out this defense quite literally. But first and foremost, it's the dash in. There's the annihilation. Proto somehow catches an angle. Firmson gets absolutely decimated, and TSM's defense still has a chance to fight this, but just as I say it, Poise gets caught. Another grab net placed, and that's enough for the plant to come through 3v2.
Perfect. Perfect placement with that grab net. Sim needs to be the hero again now. They were even anchoring the right site. Drops down off the paranoia.
One enemy remaining.
Darkus on the corner. Too clean. Last bullet. All that's needed. Darkus grabbing 3, and the value of the deadlock continue to be a problem now for TSM, who will be back onto essentially resources that are limited to pistol upgrades at this point in time. This is looking very clean for SAT, and yeah, perfect time for a timeout for TSM to figure out what do we do to stop this, because wow, it's difficult.
Yeah, they really need to stabilize right now. Losing that bonus against all light armors, 2 sheriffs. They did have 3 rifles, but still that hurts. They needed to take that round. Obviously, it goes without saying. It's going to be such a... I mean, I do think they were doing the right thing because it's going to be such a struggle for them in the post plants. They were trying to flood in, fight, anchor together. Like, you need to find an advantage before the spike goes down against this deadlock comp, or else the deadlock comp is massively favored in the post plant. But going for an honest 4-on-4 retake, for example, but they have the deadlock set up on site, you are in serious trouble as the retaker. So trying to fight early, hold the site, get some picks, get a man advantage is very important. I think it's fine that they played that with some aggression, but SAD winning out some of those crucial duels. They're trading for a proto under hell as well. All right, they're going to buy up what they can, make sure they have enough for the next.
Yeah, this is not the breaking point yet, but the thing about it is, I'm again remembering back to SAD playing this composition. Doesn't matter if it's C-long or it's A-long. It's just contingency into a double tap into a dash into the site. It's literally rinse, wash, lather, repeat. Maybe she's born with it, maybe she's Maybelline. Hard to say.
Getting up C-long and A-long, the contingency is just free space taking. It is so powerful in those long, kind of narrow lanes on the map. All of that pressure C, instant rotate from SAD to A. The site is vacant, smoke down heaven.
Yeah.
They've got it for free, and now we're in a 5-on-5 retake. With the deadlock utility being set up, the barrier mesh down, Astra util to deal with. It is a lot for TSM to work around.
Yep, especially just pistols, and the flank is also being covered. And that's the thing, it's like you have to pay respect to when that contingency starts to come through. You hear all that noise, you have to try to flood to get onto site. That's the only way you deal with it. So, immediately pulled back over towards the A side of the map, and there's just nowhere to go.
One enemy remaining.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is a round we didn't expect was going to be too much of a contest, but it's still the convincing nature of it. I mean, no one even takes damage for SAT Esports,
not a point of damage. Not 1 point. Brutal.
Over there.
For TSM heading into this round, they're going to throw the AWP over to Sim, which he is a very talented player with. But that being said, you can hit as many shots as you want if it's an ISO with a shield running at you. Not a whole lot of value to be found with it. 7, on the other hand, though, 1 orb away from getting the Hunter's Fury into this round, and he's going towards A long right now. We'll be trying to pick that up. In the meantime, though, SAD, they just continue this high pace. It's just fast towards C.
And a Proto is in trouble. The quick garage take is also concealed into the nebula. It's just 50-50 guessing. And it's, again, the respect that you have to play. When the contingency goes forward, you have to think it's all flooding behind it on the site. And that's kind of the cool thing about watching SAT Esports kind of find some versatility in this setup. But that told, Sim trying to work his way forward, but taken down by Skarn. Hunter's Fury really not clearing as much space as I'm sure TSM would have liked. But Skarn is in a little bit of trouble, or is he? Finds 2 for the backside of the site. Last one around the corner is 7. 1v1, not going to be able to win it as Dip finds the win through tunnel, and SAT Esports get the double-digit rounds first.
God, that re-swing from Skarn was just nasty. In fantastic form on this map right now. 18-13, topping the board for SAT Esports. A duelist for me who's had flashes of greatness, but hasn't been able to maintain a consistent level at those peaks that I've seen from him right now. This is a fantastic game that he is playing. Back onto the eco again are TSM. And frankly, they've got to be kicking themselves after what was a really shoddy hold of Garage. I mean, a Proto should not be dying in a situation like that.
Sim trying to get cheeky. I was about to say the only thing that they may be able to try here for TSM is to try to push through this contingency. Not going to work out though. First, able to pull Command into the kill contract. And wow, it's just, we talked about this. I forget what game there was that they were playing, but I think I was casting with Van Silly, and we're just like, what do you do against this? Like, it feels like a cheat code, legitimately.
Yeah, you're just getting ran at by the death ball composition. They're all just playing together. Ferbsa and Scar getting the shots that they're hitting right now. Nice effort from a Proto. Another Sheriff player that's had some iconic clips over the past few years with that gun, but in a 1v3, unable to win out that tough situation. And at this point now, sad, they're snowballing into the big ultimates too.
Yeah.
Like, this game, all of a sudden, they went from looking pretty sloppy on defense to an unstoppable, immovable object on attack.
Yep.
They are just playing perfectly.
Well, this is kind of the thing I remember talking about, is like, the only thing you can really think about is to treat the contingency kind of like a fast lane where you just have to throw utility into it to try to challenge it, slow down the play a little bit longer, don't allow those barrier meshes to get so deep onto site. But on a map like Haven, bro, it's 3-site map. Like, it's hard to gamble what site they're going to go to. So A-Long has been taken. Double tap surely to come here for Ferbsa as he'll be the first one up. And 7 is just paying some respect here to the fact that it's going to be a hit, and I can't contest this. Fault line does slow it down a touch. Defense starting to move, though.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. What can they do? They're stacking a little bit more heavily towards C on that round.
That'll work.
Wrong round to do it. A is given up. At least right now, they're able to deal some damage to the barrier mesh before the spike's going down. But if this Annihilation captures someone, it's basically GG.
And you still have sensors down, still have grab at the ready. There's the Annihilation out. Doesn't pull anyone into play, so now it's just down to the grab net being put into position. Sim able to break the timing of it, doesn't win the gunfight, and then onto the heavens. 7 falls right into the waiting arms.
What can you do? What can you do about this?
It's broken. Wow.
It is impossible to retake in that situation. They finally break the barrier mesh. Okay, great. Oh, Annihilation popped. All right, we have to just stand still until it runs out and be far away from it. All right, cool. Now we can go. The second we're getting close, Hunter's Fury, Gravnet into the choke, and then just past the Gravnet is a Grav Well from the Astra. Like, what? You can't come back in the site. It is impossible.
I just don't know how you beat this, legitimately. And the funny thing is, again, like looking at the results from VCT Esports on this map, there's a couple of tight ones in there, but the offensive sides have not been tight. It has just been sad getting at least 6 per side. More often than not, it's above 8. So first blood gets pulled, Sim drops at mid, and once again, TSM are just not here to slow down this play. So it's going to be a 5v4 post point with 2 Bulldogs, 2 Guardians trying to battle back.
Very cool execute there with some of that set utility, the grab net lineup that hits for back default. Oh, some great damage too, actually. Wow, that trip. Immediate trade though from Scar. It doesn't. It just doesn't.
Barrier mesh is too strong.
It just doesn't matter. That was such a fast half. And they're just chilling. This is a large large tonal dissonance from what we saw from Dark Zero after their game with Corey and Weeded into these guys. Just another day at the office. We're just chilling out.
I don't know what you do against that. I really, really don't. It's as convincing as we've ever seen anything on one side of a map ever. Maybe even the most convincing you've ever seen. Because again, it's so free. You throw a shield forward, you walk through that, You throw a barrier deep into the site, you've got the double tap. It's just, yeah, you can't contest it early and you can't retake against it. Final thoughts from you, Wyatt. Do you have any words that I can't seem to find? Because, wow.
Nope. I think that's it. That covers everything.
All right.
That covers everything.
End it with the wow, and we'll send it to break. Map number 2, though, still to come. TSM need a battle pack. Otherwise, they will be our second team eliminated from Stage 2 playoffs. We'll be right back.